Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Galini.
How you doing, Dr. Jeff?
I'm doing good. How about you, Carl?
Fantastic, fantastic. So this is really an exciting show today because everybody wants to know how to maximize body fat loss. And definitely a very important aspect of that is not sacrificing muscle. Even if you're not an athlete, maintaining muscle mass is critical to health and longevity. And this is something that you learned how to do very early on when you were a bodybuilder, stepping on stage completely ripped and hypermuscular, right?
Absolutely, and this is something that I learned by trial and error. And, this is really the secret to everything. If people would understand, how to lose body fat, they would never have to go on a fad diet. They never have to use all these diet, classes and meals and things. I mean, it really is simple.
So that's an interesting point. So it doesn't take any type of fad dieting to lose body fat, huh?
Absolutely not. I think we got to look at whether we're athletes or we just want to be healthy. It's all about changing and adapting your lifestyle. If you want to drink a 12-pack of beer a day, you're probably going to get fat, But again, it's about just being more healthy. But no, there's no fads. There's nothing difficult. It really is easy. It's not as difficult as what people think it is.
So
it just doesn't happen overnight.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I have to ask you this one important question because this is a discussion that's finally sinking into the mainstream. I heard about this on the news just today, which is great considering we're covering this topic. And that is a calorie or different macronutrients affect the body differently?
I'm still from the old school that a calorie is a calorie. And I know since then everyone has some new theory. But at the end of the day, the way your body burns fuel, it really doesn't care where its fuel source comes from.
Okay, so let's talk about diet then for that purpose. Talk to me about how diet affects body fat loss but maintenance of muscle.
So when we talk about diet, we gotta define diet. Diet is not I'm going to go on a diet like most people when they hear the D word, they're thinking of, Nutrisystem, some type of a diet. Diet is just what you are ingesting. It's your diet for your day. So I go by 3,500 calories. 3,500 calories to gain a pound, 3,500 calories to lose a pound. So we first got to take a look at, what is coming in. Remember, the higher the quality, meaning the cleaner the food, the higher the quality of muscle. So the first thing that we got to look at, and again, I'm going to talk more from, an athletic bodybuilding side than just from a general standpoint. But you got to look at those high saturated fat proteins. So, McDonald's fried fish sandwich is not fish. It probably was fish sometimes, but whatever they did to it, I've never seen a square fish.
That's funny.
So when I'm talking about cleaner foods, I'm talking about unprocessed. I'm talking about, good, lean, red meats. I'm talking about your chicken. And we don't need to get so particular that in my day, we only ate chicken breast. We didn't eat the dark meat. That little bit of fat is not going to hurt you. We have learned over the years. Turkey, most all fish. And again, back when I was training, it was only light-colored fish, the white fish. We didn't eat the salmon and types of fish that were dark because of the fat content. We now know that those are good, healthy fats.
Right.
But it's how you prepare it. If you deep fat fry it, you just ruin the protein source. So again, being cleaner means, baking, grilling, broiling your food. A lot of people say, well, geez, it doesn't taste good. Yes, it does. You know, you need to learn how to cook. If you want to adjust your diet, you got to learn how to cook. There are lots of seasonings and recipes that you could use to make your protein tasty. The second thing is, you know, the carbohydrate choices. I see so many people, when I take a look at their diets, they include French fries. Okay, again, you know, French fries start out as a potato, which is very healthy, but it's what you do to it. So again, you know, you don't need to deep fry everything, especially if you're trying to lose body fat and maintain muscle. So again, you got to look at clean sources, you know, your pastas, your rice, your baked potatoes, your yams, good whole grain breads. Somebody last night at Yellowstone Christian College training asked me, was there such a big deal between white rice and brown rice? And I said, you know, from a diet standpoint, no. You know, from a nutritional standpoint, yeah, you know, brown rice has more of the vitamins and minerals, but as far as the starch, your body doesn't know the difference. And then I still, you know, recommend monitoring your fats. And again, you know, even if you're going to use healthy fats, I saw a guy not too long ago drinking a bottle of olive oil, and he was trying to get enough fats in his diet, and I said, that's crazy. You know, use it sparingly in your cooking, but don't add it as an added fat. You know, get rid of butters, you know, things of that nature. If you like milk, you know, again, I recommend going to non-fat milk or 1% milk. Anywhere that you can cut back on those saturated fats, you know, not cut out, but just cut back, that's going to put you in a good place to start building muscle.
So when we talk about clean foods, what you're really talking about are foods that have minimal processing, and that's really where the real issue of clean and let's say dirty foods are, right?
Absolutely. You know, and again, lunch meats, you know, I mean, there's so many places that actually take a real turkey breast and make, you know, lunch meats out of them. I know we have them here. Whole Foods has them. Does it cost a little bit more? Yeah, but again, you know, the higher quality the food, the higher the quality of the muscle. So again, don't skimp, you know, if you're trying to build muscle. You know, sausages and anything processed. And I didn't even talk about sugar. I mean, I think sugar should just be thrown out. You know, sugar is not good for athletes. And that doesn't mean that, you know, if you have a cheat day, it's okay to do things, but don't make sugar, you know, a daily part. You know, don't eat, you know, Fruit Loop cereal and add sugar. And I'm talking about just good old white sugar, you know, to your diet. You know, those are the types of things that you really want to eliminate. Because, again, you know, if we're taking in too many calories, and especially if they're bad calories, your body's going to store them as fat, you know, if you aren't burning them up on the backside.
What about training, Dr. Jeff? Does the training have to change when you're looking to lean out?
You know, it depends on what type of physique that you are looking to build. You know, if you're a bodybuilder, your training should not change at all. You know, because, again, most bodybuilders are doing higher reps. You know, you're doing 10 to 15 reps. And I always encourage bodybuilders, you know, don't get to your contest prep and then all of a sudden start doing lightweight and high reps. You know, you work so long to build that muscle, you should be getting stronger all the way to the contest because you should be putting on muscle. So you shouldn't change your training at all. You know, except you might want to, you know, you're going to do more abs and things of that nature that you don't normally do in the off season. But again, your training should stay the same.
If you're a strength athlete, cutting presents some challenges in strength, I would imagine.
You know, a little bit, but this is where, you know, the other bad word, you know, we used to call it aerobics in the old days. Now they call it cardio, and that's not even a good word. But, you know, again, let's look at expending calories. That's where the real secret comes in. You know, you can continue to lower your caloric intake and you will lose weight. But the problem is you aren't going to maintain that muscle. In order to maintain muscle, you've got to get in enough calories. You've got to get in enough protein to keep your body fueled. So this is something that I learned as a bodybuilder was let me not worry about cutting my calories so much. Let me go out and expend more calories.
Uh-huh.
And I know a lot of guys and gals still today are afraid. There's some misconception that, walking on the treadmill or bike or running is going to burn muscle. You aren't going to burn muscle as long as you are fueling your muscle with enough protein and you have enough calories coming in. It's almost impossible. Your body will burn muscle, and you can burn muscle, but not if you're fueling properly. 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And there's some supplements we'll talk about, but don't be afraid of cardio. I see so many of these local people that are so afraid of cardio, and when I finally get them on a program, Carl, where they're doing cardio, they're coming in 15, 20 pounds heavier, and they're, 6, 7, 8% less body fat, and they're like, wow, this was easy.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So there's a phenomenon understood amongst those who focus on getting athletes ready for bodybuilding competitions, and it's called fed, F-E-D, fed state. So we know that when the body is being given enough calories, it's less reluctant to let go of body fat. We have to look at this from an evolutionary perspective. When we do this, it makes sense. If you're starving yourself, fat is a necessity. The body interprets starvation as a stress. The body interprets that stress as an oncoming famine. So the body decides to try to manufacture as much body fat and maintain as much body fat because it believes it's going to come into a period of inability to obtain food. And so this function of the body does two things. It lowers metabolism, or the body's utilization of energy, while upregulating the storage and maintenance of body fat, so that in the instance of the inability to find food, the body will last longer. This is something that is imprinted into us, into our DNA, and one of our evolutionary gifts. So what you're saying makes perfect sense. In order to let the body give up more fat and maintain more muscle, because remember, the body looks at muscle as optional because the muscle burns calories. So in this equation of down-regulating metabolism, not only does the thyroid become suppressed, but the body goes, we need to get rid of all this muscle that's demanding calories because we don't have enough food, apparently. So
yes,
when you start to eat more frequently too, the body goes, we are in abundance. We don't need to store fat, and we don't have to worry about keeping all this muscle either, because there's no threat that it's going to force us into a situation of dire straits, because we have abundance around us. So what you're saying makes perfect sense from an evolutionary perspective, and in my humble opinion is where people get it wrong when they diet too strictly and reduce calories too much, and then they want to do more cardio because they're not seeing the results they want. And the reason they're not seeing the results is the body is trying to protect itself because it perceives this famine state coming on.
Let me tell you what I did. My first California bodybuilding show was the Los Angeles Bodybuilding Championships. I don't know, it was probably 1982. And I had gone up to 270 pounds in the first 6 weeks of my pre-contest, and I had 6 weeks to the show. So I then went on a very strict diet because this was kind of what I thought everyone was doing. And literally, I was taking in about 1,100 calories a day.
Oh,
and
God.
I went from 270, I weighed in at the show at around 202. Now, was I shredded? Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was beyond shredded. But I lost probably 25 pounds or so of muscle. I did no cardio because, again, I came from Ohio. We didn't do cardio. My second show, what I realized is my metabolism was so messed up that I had to actually force myself to eat more food during the off-season, and I had to learn how to eat smaller meals and not eat, 3 big meals. And again, that's one of the secrets is you got to space your food out. If you eat smaller meals, you won't want to hoard because, like you're saying, Carl, just the way we're inbred, if we go too long and we get to a meal, we overeat because your body, your brain is saying, man, I don't know when my next meal is coming. So if you don't have a consistent meal, you will overeat. But if you eat every 2.5 to 3 hours, your brain says, hey, this is enough. I'm going to be eating again shortly. So you really don't want to overeat. And as an athlete, you learn to eat for what that food is doing versus always taste. But like I said, it really is easy. It's a matter of just, if you want to lose body fat, you got to eat more food. But then we go over here and we're going to start expending it.
I want to take a break, and when we come back, I want to stay with this for a moment longer. I also want to talk about supplements that help to tip the balances on body fat loss and maintenance of muscle. We're talking today with my co-host, Dr. Jeff Galini. We're exploiting his knowledge of physical perfection, which is something he achieved regularly as a professional bodybuilder. Now as a scientist, he looks back at what he did, and he understands why it worked. And he's giving you these secrets here on Science for Humans. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Do you know how to properly use carbohydrates to ignite your performance in the field and in the gym? You will now, thanks to this free book by EFX Sports. The Carb User's Guide for Maximum Performance reveals why omitting carbohydrates from your diet can totally crush your gains. Ever wonder how many grams you need for your specific sport? Not anymore. We give you the critical number you need to dominate your competition. You'll even discover the super carb that's taking the athletic world by storm. You must try it to believe it. Go to getcarbolyn.com/carb guide today and get your copy absolutely free. Once again, it's getkarbolyn.com/CARBGUIDE. The secret word is carbohydrate. Email that in to onair@superhumanradio.com to be entered for this week's secret word contest. And good luck. The health and performance benefits of phytonutrients are indisputable, but getting all of your phytonutrients from your diet is difficult. That's why Prime Nutrition introduced PhytoForm. PhytoForm has nearly 11 grams of all the micronized veggies, fruits, fiber, minerals, and antioxidants you need. Alfalfa, organic spirulina, and chlorella, plus acai, pomegranate, goji, bilberry, blueberry, raspberry, cranberry, and papaya. Cabbage, spinach, broccoli, beet, the list goes on and on. You won't find a better, more complete fruits and greens blend anywhere. It even includes PQQ, which has been shown to improve mitochondrial biogenesis. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the Prime Nutrition banner ad today and use coupon code SHR to save 30% off. Prime Nutrition, the best or nothing.
Bluebird Botanicals sources only the highest quality CBD extracts from hemp. CBD is a non-psychoactive, all-natural constituent used to bolster general health. Bluebird Botanicals performs third-party testing, has invested in state-of-the-art manufacturing equipment, delivers nationwide, and possesses industry-leading customer service. To get CBD delivered to your front door, go to superhumanradio.com, click the Bluebird Botanicals banner ad, and save 25% off with code SHR25. Bluebird Botanicals, setting the standard for CBD oil and extracts.
Superhuman Radio has the smartest and most dedicated health and fitness listeners found anywhere in the world. If you're trying to tap this market of greater than 50 million health fitness consumers, you simply can't do better than advertising on Superhuman Radio. Our sponsors tell us Superhuman Radio outperforms other forms of advertising time and time again. If you're tired of wasting valuable advertising dollars and need a new way to build your client base, go to superhumanradio.com and click on the Advertise With Us link. It just may be the best thing you have ever done for your business. Now, the #1 best-selling non-hormonal anabolic agent at PredatorNutrition.com. Progenadrex has established itself as the category killer. If you're having difficulty gaining muscle while staying lean, you owe it to yourself to try Progenadrex. 100% of store reviews rated it at 5 stars, the highest possible ranking. And today, right now, there are guys pouring their hearts out in the gym with little or nothing to show for it. Don't waste any more time. Go to PredatorNutrition.com today and get Progenadrex, the world's absolute best drug-free muscle gainer. You drink coffee, but do you know what's in your coffee? Pesticides, herbicides, unhealthy molds, and bacteria. That's unless you drink NutriCafe. NutriCafe is small batch, certified organic Arabica whole bean gourmet coffee that's infused with an immune-supporting medicinal mushroom blend. NutriCafe tastes amazing because it's low acid, and it doesn't cost any more to drink the world's best coffee. Roasted fresh every week in small batches. Go to superhumanradio.com ScienceRadio.com today and click the NutriCafe banner ad to learn more. There's only one NutriCafe organic medicinal coffee in the world. Why would you drink anything else?
Never before has an anti-estrogen been so powerful. The triazole formula is built on a potent, all-natural aromatase inhibitor called Pizole, which has been shown in clinical trial to be as effective as a leading prescription aromatase inhibitor. Pizole works in concert with the rest of the triazole formula to control estrogen while simultaneously boosting testosterone significantly. In fact, one of triazole's testers had a 120% increase in total testosterone and a 257% increase in free testosterone. Triazole is available at bodybuilding.com, nutriplanet.com, or where finer supplements are sold. For more information, check out getds.com.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where we use oxygen for the power of good.
I get a feeling there's going to be a riot. At the starting of the week, at Summit Talks, you'll hear the...
Welcome back to Science for Humans with my co-host, Dr. Jeff Galini. We're talking about how to lose body fat and maintain muscle at the same time. This is a critical distinction between fad diets and truly healthy diets, in my humble opinion. So, a couple things I want to recap on. Meal frequency and eating enough food. So eating often enough and eating enough food is key to losing body fat. This is completely counterintuitive, and this is something that women have the hardest time getting, because what most women say when they get up on the scale is, that's it, I'm not going to eat anymore. I'm not eating anymore, which is exactly the opposite thing you want to do, because then your body will do nothing but store and maintain body fat. Is that a true statement for women, Dr. Jeff?
That is, throw the scale out. You know, the scale is probably the enemy to getting in shape. You know, it's about how you look in the mirror. You know, the mirror doesn't lie. The scale can be dishonest, because depending on when you weigh yourself, you know, will depend on how much you're going to weigh. And a lot of times, you know, women will weigh themselves 3, 4, 5 times during the day. They'll weigh themselves in the morning and be one weight, and then by midday or evening, they gain weight, so they go, oh, I'm not going to eat because I gain weight.
Right.
Well, you're always going to gain water weight during the day. You can't gain fat in one day. It's impossible.
So what about supplements? Are there supplements that help tilt the scale, no pun intended, in favor of greater body fat loss and greater muscle maintenance?
Yeah, I think we got to look at, you know, it's very difficult for most people to eat, you know, 6 or 7 meals a day. When I was doing it for a living, that's all I did was I was cooking food and eating, and wherever I went, you know, I had to have food with me. That's one of the benefits now of protein. You know, I produce something called NF Pro, very high quality. Don't use, you know, cheap protein powders, because most of them are cut with sugar or some amino acid. But again, you know, that enables you to get a meal in without having to prep or cook. So if you're working like most people, you know, you can eat a good breakfast, egg whites, you know, oatmeal, and then around that 9 o'clock, have a protein drink. And then you eat again around, you know, your noonish time, and then 2:30ish, you have a protein drink. So protein is probably one of the first supplements that I always recommend. The second one is, most of us have trouble, you know, digesting and assimilating our foods. Therefore, you got to get in a multivitamin. You know, VitaDrive is what I manufacture. Again, all these B vitamins help with the uptake of these proteins, carbs. And if you have been eating terrible for a long time, I would recommend a good probiotic, you know, kind of get that good bacteria back into play. And then from there, you know, again, it depends on, you know, where you're at. You know, Crowlin studies have shown that, you know, getting your energy cycle working, you know, will help to decrease body fat. So I always like getting people on some Crowlin. And that's kind of the base. I mean, you know, all the fad, you know, diet pills and things of that nature, you know, they're not bad, but they're not miracles. I would rather have you doing, you know, 30 minutes of cardio a day than depending on, you know, some diet pill. Now, they are good because they do help, you know, increase your metabolic rate. So there is a time and a way to use those, and the one that we make is called Lean Fix. But again, they're not a go-to. I just take this and I do nothing else.
So If you, I would think crealkaline would be a no-brainer if you're trying to maintain muscle mass and strength during the diet phase. But there are people out there who talk about creatine being eliminated during the diet phases. That's because traditional creatine monohydrate makes you retain subcutaneous water and crealkaline doesn't?
Absolutely. And, the thing is that, too many bodybuilders and fitness gals, they're looking to control their water intake, their salt intake too far out. That's unhealthy. So who cares if you're holding some water during that pre-contest trial? You don't need to look good for your friends in the gym, if you want to win the contest. So, yes, a lot of the conventional creatines and some of these Chinese creatines, they have so many contaminants that they do make you real bloaty and hold water. But most everyone I know, we use crealkaline right up till about, 3-4 days before the show, which is about the time you start cutting out any of your supplements.
Interesting. Are there any other last tips that you would give people as far as how long should they expect to diet?
Oop, I seem to be losing you there, Carl.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now? Can you hear me okay, Dr. Jeff?
Yeah, you kind of cut out on me there.
What about how long should someone expect to diet for? I mean, it's not something you can do for just a couple weeks and expect to be ripped. How long should someone be prepared to diet for to reach that level of leanness, let's say, while maintaining muscle mass?
So if you're in the sport, you got to realize, when I say bodybuilding, we're talking about physique, bikini, all of that is bodybuilding to me. There should be no off-season. If you don't get excessively overweight and obese in the off-season, then it's much easier for you to get ready for a show. But I always say 16 weeks out is your contest prep time. You want to have plenty of time to get to where you're at, so that you're not get down to the last 3 or 4 weeks, and then you have to do something stupid because, again, you haven't lost enough body fat.
Okay.
And really, you're not going to adjust your calories too much. If anything, you should be increasing them when you start your 16 weeks. It's just that you're going to be cutting things out. When we get into that 16-week part, we start cutting out dairy products. We start minimizing some of the red meats and swapping them out for more, chicken and turkey. And then the cardio. You should be doing cardio all year long. Just because you're off season, keep that cardio up. And then at 16 weeks, we increase it. So I really like to kick the cardio in for the first 4 to 6 weeks to really get ahead of the game, so that you're basically having fun, the last 6-8 weeks. You're just maintaining a clean diet. You're getting lots of training. You're posing. And you're basically getting ready for your show.
So there you go. Everybody who's listening to the show, here is the blueprint for body fat loss, maintaining muscle. So 20 weeks from this summer, get busy and apply this approach, right, Dr. Jeff?
Absolutely. And because, everything is kind of individualized, if you have additional questions, go to superhumanradio.com, look for Ask the Scientist. Send me what you want. I have diet plans. I have training plans. I've been posting some of those on my Facebook page. But, if you don't see any of that and you need some help, send me an email. That's what I'm here for.
That's very generous of you, Dr. Jeff. And I know how busy you are to even offer that. So thank you so much. And thanks for today's advice.
You're welcome. Take care.